What's up, Internet? We are here once again as Magical Jazz Hands with our boy Neku, and that can only mean one thing. We have awesome loot to look at. Okay, awesome might be a stretch this time. This was supposed to come out at the end of June. It is now like the middle of August. I apologize for that. There's two reasons why this hasn't come out since then. First of all, I didn't actually have any games to show off, or really anything. I'd been searching like on eBay and like through Facebook and like through actual physical stores, all one of them we have, and I was just finding nothing interesting and nothing I could afford. So this is late because of that. Also because I've just been so busy and I'm so far behind. Like, you might have noticed my weekly like Sunday releases showing up on like Tuesday. I think this one came out on Wednesday. Yeah, I am ridiculously far behind on that. I apologize. I'm trying to catch up with that. I'm literally working about 22 hours a day on this stuff at this point. I'm actually getting really like physically sick from exhaustion because of it, but I've also been doing this for 5 years straight at this pace, so hopefully I'll catch up. But anyway, I was looking for games and I actually found some, so we're gonna start with some games. Now, like I said, I wasn't really finding much, and I was actually like actively looking for games for this segment, and well, it wasn't going so well. Well, I was walking by a GameStop and they had a special deal, and this special deal was buy one Xbox 360 or PS3 game, get one free. And I walked in and the lady behind the counter actually said, you know, if you've got anything in particular you're looking for, let me know because we have more behind the counter. So I went through my entire list, pretty much every Xbox 360 RPG, all the Yakuza games. They had none of it, but I did pick up a couple games just because of the deal, and it was mostly just stuff I'd never heard of. But let's start out with The Chronicles of Riddick, Assault on Dark Athena. Now this is actually two games in one. This is Assault on Dark Athena as well as the original Xbox's Escape from Butcher Bay, and I've heard this is one of the few really, really good licensed games, and I like Vin Diesel quite a lot, so to get a Riddick game, that's pretty cool to me. Put that there. Next we have Wet, presumably referring to wet work and not the adult content in this game. It's a 3D grindhouse, or a third-person grindhouse style shooter, and it's not the most fantastic game ever, but it's one I never played, so I figured I'd get that. Next we have a game I have played before, Hunted the Demon's Forge. I actually had this when it first came out for a very brief time, because around that time pretty much all my games got stolen, including this one. I don't recall missing this one all that much though. From what I recall, this sort of made itself out to be an RPG, but it was more like a high fantasy third-person shooter. You have two characters. In fact, it feels basically like a skin of, not Two Worlds, Army of Two. And I remember thinking one of the characters I never really liked, but the other character was played by Lucy Lawless, and I had the biggest crush on Xena when I was a kid, so I kind of need to get a copy of that again. And finally, from our GameStop pickups, we have Fairy Tale Fights. I have never heard of this game before. I've done a gameplay video on it, and I'm not sure if the gameplay video actually does justice to this game because it is weird. It is a top-down, hacky-slashy beat-em-up type of thing, but it controls like a twin-stick shooter, so you actually have to control your like hacking and slashing by flicking the like right stick. It is bizarre. And you know, if it had a more sensible control scheme, I'm not going to say it was good, but it wouldn't be the worst thing ever, but that's not very, very good. Anyway, that is everything I got from GameStop, and I mean, they're completely getting rid of their entire stock of like PS3 and Xbox 360 games. I don't know what else they're going to sell other than just more Funko Pop figures at this point, and it's kind of sad because 90% of their stuff is just merchandise for pointless crap nowadays. And I mean, I was pretty much up to date with the 360 PS3. If you combine the total number of games with them, I think I'm on my list missing like 30 titles. That's nothing with like two consoles combined like that. So I have no idea how they're planning on making money with games nowadays, but now we've got games I ordered online. And to continue this theme, we'll go with Xbox 360 games, because these two I was actually looking for and they didn't have it in store. We have Naughty Bear. Now I was actually looking for the PS3 version of this, because there's a PS3 version of this that contains the original full game, the DLC, as well as an expansion sort of downloadable title that you actually can't download anymore, at least on the PS3. But that version never got released on the 360, but this version was like $5, and it's a weird game. Like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Hitman. Let's see if we can zoom a little bit better. You play like a really angry teddy bear murdering other teddy bears because he got snubbed at a party or something. But what's interesting is like the best way to do it is to like set up traps and like interact with the environment to get them to basically kill themselves. Basically like Hitman. The problem is Hitman didn't make you automatically public enemy number one in every single level from the start. Like this one you have to really sneak around in as opposed to wandering around getting the lay of the land. And that actually makes this game a lot worse. Because walking around and sort of observing the situation, interacting and figuring out the story of the world and figuring out how to, you know, properly traverse this world to, you know, kill your opponents better, that was part of what made Hitman great. This one, it's not so much. In fact, it almost at times plays more like a beat 'em up with very little actual stealth. And I don't like that very much. It also reuses the same environments over and over and over and over. I don't like that. I've played 2 or 3 chapters in that game and they are all the same world and I hate that. The other one I managed to pick up online is Lollipop Chainsaw. It's a Suda51 game, which is a developer I really, really like. Huge fan of No More Heroes, Killer 7. I'm rather ambivalent to Killer is Dead. Never actually played Shadows of the Damned, I've been meaning to, but this one I just missed out on, and it's basically just a bubbly blonde cheerleader murdering the crap out of zombies with a giant chainsaw, and that's pretty cool. Although I have been told you want to get the Japanese version, because they actually censor all the gore with like extra rainbows and sparkles and crap, which actually seems kind of more in the tone of what this game should be. But that game was also $10, and that was actually one of the few Xbox 360 games I still needed. Alright, next is a game I got for 1 penny. Medarot Kuwagata DS. I have been collecting Medarot Kuwagata games. Well, you've seen a few of these in these videos. This is one of 2 that I needed to complete the set, that I can play on North American equipment anyway. I still need Metabots AX, and I've got the whole set. And, you know, I just love more Medarot, and this costs basically nothing. This game normally costs about 20 bucks. And let's see if we can zoom in and see the back and all the customization doodads. You can make your own custom character. He's got different stats. You can swap out different parts and stuff, as seen there. Hey, they have the night stuff from the first game that was wildly broken. Good on you. That stuff was awesome. Alright, next we have a brand new game. We have Umehara Kawase Fresh. I have wanted to play the Umehara Kawase games since I first heard about them, probably around 2005 or so. This is a Japanese-only series, or it was up until the 3DS, I believe. And this is the second English copy that's ever existed. Again, I still want to get more into this series, but they are rare, they are expensive. The original one is over $100 at this point, and it's an interesting game. It's a platformer where you play as a girl equipped with a rubber fishing line, and she's trying to fight off various seafoods from attacking her. And in this one, you also have to like collect stuff, and you can play as Curly from Cave Story. I've still never played Cave Story. I need to get on that. You can also play as Cotton, which is interesting. I haven't seen Cotton in anything in forever. But it's a game that has some really impressive physics. Like, you have to hit your fishing line to like walls and stuff, and then try and like either expand or retract your line to like slingshot you across the room and stuff. Very fascinating. It's interesting to see how it's used. Definitely not your most standard control scheme ever, but I think it's a lot of fun, and I've got a huge gameplay video of this up if you want to go see more, because you should. It's a great game. Alright, next is the last set of games I got online. And they were actually a bundle of 3 games, kind of, from someone from this town. The first one we have is this. Let's see if we can focus a little bit better. We have Super 29 in 1, and it's a game. So you know you're not buying a sandwich when you use this cartridge. This is a multi-cart, of course, and it is not the most exciting multi-cart of all time, but you know, I like collecting multi-carts, and I'm actually finishing up my current multi-cart series of videos, so I need to actually pick a new multi-cart. So I've actually got this, one other that I'm about to show you, as well as about like 30 other ones up for contention that's currently up for vote from the Discord. So if you want to figure out what next weird multi-cart I look at, you know, go support the Patreon, get yourself on the Discord, and get your voice heard, because I've got some really, really cool multi-carts. And some less awesome ones, but that one is weird. Likewise, we have this one, which is, if we can zoom in on this, that would just be super there. Come on, there we go. So we have the Game USA Color Advanced All USA version 40 in 1. That's a name. And well, the first thing that's interesting about this is it says Nintendo Game Boy up here, which means this is an actual official card, and judging by the fact that it is a very sleek blue, this is probably a repurposed Pokemon Blue cartridge. And that in and of itself is actually pretty interesting, I think. But there's more to this that is just strange, and I'm seeing a flashing number on my camera, so I'm hoping that I'm not about to get cut or anything. But what's weird is it says 40 in 1, right? Well, it's not. It's like something like 8 in 1. But this is a little bit truer than, say, this cartridge, which says 29 in 1. It says 29 in 1 on the cartridge. In the game, it says like 130 in 1, and there's only like 19 games. Whereas this one, it only has 8 games. And they both have the same bizarre Super Mario game. It's, I think it's Crayon Shin-Chan 4 that's hacked to look like a Mario game. And they actually changed all the world designs to basically be completely unplayable. But, yeah, that's that. And I got one more game with that, and that is Final Fantasy Advanced 4. Because when you want to advance your Final Fantasy, you get Final Fantasy Advanced. This is like one of the few Square Enix remakes that are actually like worth a squirt of piss. Seriously, their Game Boy Advance ones were great. Sword of Mana was fantastic. And Final Fantasy VI Advance is like the best way to play Final Fantasy VI. And I would say this is among the versions you'd want to play of Final Fantasy IV. But this is the only official English copy I have. I have a Japanese Super Famicom card, but I don't have any other version of this. But what's interesting is the guy I bought these from, he wanted these cartridges together for it was a starting bid of $20, and he wanted this Final Fantasy IV cartridge for about $40. And I just made an offer. I said, okay, look, I will give you $25 for your Final Fantasy cartridge if you throw these in. And he basically settled with me saying, okay, the starting bid on these is $10, so how about you give me $25 for this, and I will let you buy the Game Boy Advance cartridges for the starting bid of $10. And I just decided, you know, we are wildly out of focus, but you know, alright, multi-carts, they tend to cost like $15 each anyway, so you know, $25 or $35, however much, for the 3, that's not too bad. And that's all I got from eBay. Next, I think we're gonna go with stuff I got at the local Goodwill. Because, why not? I was really having trouble finding stuff. But the first and easily the most interesting thing I found at the Goodwill, Front Mission 4. Now, I'm not the most familiar with Front Mission. I have played all of 2 games in the series, and they are not what you would call the standard Front Mission experience. I have played Front Mission Gun Hazard on the Super Famicom, which is basically an assault suit game, and I've played Front Mission Evolved, which got stolen from me, but I remember being awful. Kind of want to get another copy, honestly. But this is a game where you basically customize your mechs, like here and here, and then you take them out, and you basically have a strategy RPG with them. And you use them to tactically sort of defeat other mechs and stuff. It's a very interesting style game. I really wanted to get more into these, but they're a little tricky to find. But this cost me about $9, and you know, I really want to get into the Front Mission series, even though I'm not the best at strategy games. So I figured, you know, why not? It's not going to break the bank too badly, and this might actually be worth quite a lot elsewhere. So this might be my like one shot to actually get a hold of it. All right, this was done at several different trips to the Goodwill, by the way. Like I go there every week. Because I have to meet someone to do stuff anyway, but just to kill time I go there, see if they have games. It's pretty rare that they do, but again, I was looking for games and I just had nothing for this segment, so I actually like actively go out and try and find games just for the segment now. And I found this, and it's not something I care too much about, but it's something I didn't have, and I've been told it's kind of a must-have. We have Forza Motorsport for the Xbox. Now, I'm not the biggest racing fan ever. And I'm even less a fan of racing on tracks. I love Outrun, I love Test Drive Unlimited. I love the Forza Horizon games minus the second one. Actually, I've only played the first one, but I like the first one, so we'll just count it. I like being able to decide where you get to go. I like to have an adventure driving, not just racing on a track. I find that to be very boring. But I've been told this one is actually really good, and this was about $5. Actually, it was about half that because it was a red tag sale type of thing. But there's lots of car customization and stuff, and I'm sure if you enjoy racing, you'll probably enjoy this as well. Although I did notice something, I'm not seeing it now, but I remember thinking, you know, there was one car company that was listed that shouldn't be, or one that wasn't that should be. Can't figure it out now, lost my train of thought. Alright, this one is not a game, but it's game-ish? We have a DVD of Super Mario World, Koopa's Stone Age Quests. If this is anything like the Legend of Zelda cartoon, this is going to be interesting. I've not watched this at all. This cost me about $4, and you get a couple of different episodes of this. You get about 7. I guess they're all caveman themed. I don't know. I've genuinely never seen any Super Mario cartoons ever. That doesn't sound appealing to me at all. Okay, we got the final 3 games that I got at the same time from the Goodwill, and one of these is going to stand out a little bit, but we'll see if you can pick up on that. So first we have what a lot of people consider to be a must-have, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. And, you know, I'm now only missing all of one Smash Bros. Game. The one everyone wants. Melee's really expensive, by the way. Like, all GameCube games in general, like even the common ones are getting stupid expensive. But I've got a copy of Brawl. I think you all know what this game is. It's weird because most of their games, they're a little overpriced for what you get. But they typically cost no more than like $8. This one costs $12. For whatever reason, they just arbitrarily charged more for this at the Goodwill. I don't know why. But they did. Alright, next is Ninja Gaiden 2. This was actually a game I really wanted. I wanted this game before I ever got an Xbox 360, actually. First of all, because I never played any of the modern Ninja Gaiden games. Well, I played Yaiba, but that game, let's not talk about that game. But I remember on GameFAQs, they had this huge push for advertising for the DS, especially for Atlas games. I remember because I watched their Rondo of Swords ad so many times, and holy crap, I still have to get Rondo of Swords. You're seeing how my brain works in motion. But I remember those Rondo of Sword ads getting axed for Ninja Gaiden 2 ads, and it was very similar to like this box art. It's Ryu walking in like this fog, just surrounded by graves of just swords lying everywhere, and just seeing that made me think, you know, I absolutely need this game, and I never had a copy. $8.50, that's a bit much. I think I ended up paying about $5 because again it was on sale. But I've never really played a proper modern Ninja Gaiden game, and this one I really wanted. I'm very excited. Apparently it's now backwards compatible on the Xbox One, and apparently this was like the most wanted game as well. So I'm pretty excited to give this game a shot. And I do believe I'm running out of time on my camera, so we will be back in a moment. I might clean up the table, I might not. We'll see what happens. I still got some games to talk about. But I'll be back in just a second. And we are back. We moved some stuff around, and we are back with the final Goodwill game. We have Star Ocean 3, Till the End of Time. Now, this is the weird one, spoilers. Let's see if you can take a guess as to why. First of all, at no place does it say it's the special edition. Second of all, the cover art is a little bit of an interesting color. But if that's not enough for you, let's knock Neku around. Let's move that back because of course we got to, because I'm crazy about that. Let's pop open the manual and pop to, say, any page and realize it's entirely in Japanese. Yeah, I have no idea why, but my Goodwill, for whatever reason, had the original release, NTSCJ. Let's see if we can zoom in on that just to prove my points. Can we do that? I don't think we can. Oh yeah, we can. It just takes a while. Autofocus is crap. But yeah, NTSCJ. Now J, of course, meaning Japanese. And yeah, this is entirely in Japanese. I have no idea why my Goodwill had a Japanese PS2 game. And I bought it because, let's just be honest, I'm probably the only person in my entire city who would. I actually already own Star Ocean 3, the International Edition, which has all the bonus content. It had Nell Zelfer as a permanent companion, as well as one other character. I think it had a bonus dungeon with some unique loot as well. And of course it has Steve Staley's excellent voice acting as our boy Fate Line God over here. But this being in Japanese, while you lack all the bonus features and stuff, you know, you don't have to deal with the plot of this game, which is, depending on who you are, probably good, because the plot to this game is a little dodgy. But this is kind of an interesting game because this was done by Tri-Ace, who, as I understand, were kind of like a spin-off of the same group who kind of ended up spinning off and making the Tales of games. And, you know, they were basically one team that worked on action RPGs, as I understand it. Anyway, it's been a while since I've looked this up, but one team ended up becoming Tri-Ace and making the Star Ocean games. The others became Namco Tales team. And they kind of basically made the exact same game, just attacking it from different perspectives. They're both action RPGs, they're both excellent. This is the only Star Ocean game I've ever played. I've been really wanting to get the other ones. I've heard like the PSP and PS1 ones are excellent. Never seen the 360 or the PS3 games. Like I said, they're kind of on my list of the 30 or so Xbox 360 and PS3 games I'm still looking for. But, you know, it's a work in progress, so to speak. Okay, now, this next bit is garage sale finds. And garage sales in this town are terrible, except for the one from last year. That was awesome. That was probably a once-in-a-lifetime sort of thing, as evidenced by what I'm about to show you. But I think we need to do some setup here. See, I was looking at pretty much every garage sale in this town that I could possibly find. I was getting up at like 6 a.m. and staying out until like 4 in the afternoon, Saturday, Sunday, every weekend, looking for anything for games, and I was never finding anything. But recently I found a couple of things. They might not be the best things, but well, the first thing I want to show you has a bit of a story before I can show it, I think. And that is, I went to this garage sale, and it had this really nice, elderly, I want to say Ukrainian woman. She had a bit of a Ukrainian accent. And the moment I walked in, she asked, "Are you Jason?" To which I said no, because that's not my name. And I never got an explanation as to what that was supposed to mean to me. But she immediately led me to a table of electronics and said, "You look like you're here for video games. Here's a table of video games." I looked at the table and I saw, like, nothing that was actually video game related. She then proceeded to say, "I have no idea what any of this stuff is or what it's worth. Please identify all of it for me and price it for me." And I said, because I'm a nice person, I said, all right, I will do my best. And I somehow got recruited into identifying everything on this table. And she had very little actual video game stuff there. She had a PS2, which she wanted a fair amount of money for. She had a plastic stand for a Wii, which I don't know what that would sell for, like nothing at this point. It had no Wii. Had a couple Guitar Hero controllers, and that was about it. But for perspective, she had a power cable for a PC, a printer cable, a strip of mini LED lights for a mini Christmas tree on this like giant table of weird knickknacks that were vaguely electronic in nature, and I had to identify all of it. It took me an hour and a half. And this was an interesting moment because I didn't get anything really from this place per se. But, you know, she asked me to make an offer on the whole table, and I just said, I probably couldn't give you much of an offer. I just said $20 because it was all I had on me. And she went into this story about how she was doing this because her husband recently passed away, and she was doing this to make a few dollars to pay bills and stuff. And, you know, I totally understand that. But I kind of just had to say, well, you know, I'm otherwise unemployed. All my income is currently coming from donations to my YouTube channel, which, again, you know, if you want to support that and, you know, support so that I can actually do more of this stuff and fund it and, you know, get better stuff, you know, really appreciate it, because that is my income that helps me eat. Anyway, you know, we just had sort of like this moment of shared humanity where we both understood that neither of us were really in a particularly great situation, but, you know, it was just a moment of, you know, human recognition of the situation. And you know, that was kind of interesting. And it was good karma for me. And when I was about to leave, she hands me like this little plastic bag and asked me to just throw it out. It was just a bunch of stuff from the table. And I saw something she just put in the bag that I didn't see on the table, and I asked her if I could keep it. You know, as sort of like a memento from the experience. And here it is. This is a GameCube wireless controller, like, receiver. And I don't think we're gonna... Oh, there we go. Yay for autofocus. Just takes forever. I've never seen one of these controllers. It didn't come with a controller. She had no controllers. I've always wanted one of these controllers, though. So to have one of these, like, even if I never get to use it, and even if it's just a memento for that, you know, moment where I helped a lady who needs some help, you know, that's pretty cool to me. And, you know, like I said, it's good karma. So that's not something I can immediately use, something I hope to use eventually, but, you know, if nothing else, it's a nice memory. However, to come off as a bitter jerk a little bit, the next garage sale I went to, like, right after that, and to bear in mind, I spent an hour and a half just identifying electronics for this lady. The next garage sale I went to this table and I saw a couple of games. Nothing too nothing special or anything, but, you know, the lady running it, she walks up to me and says, like, something that will probably scar me for life. She said, "You know, you look like you're into video games. If you were here 5 minutes ago, there was a huge mountain of them right here that some guy walked off for $5. Little bit angry about that. Good karma. Bad video games, though. But the thing you have to understand is, like I said, I'd been out there looking for garage sales all day. I'd been out there for maybe like 5 to 8 hours. I was badly sunburned, dehydrated. I was getting a migraine. I just looked at the lady and said, okay, I will take everything video game related on your table for $20, which I paid way too much for. I understand that. But I calculated what she wanted for it, and it was a lot more than that. And she just said, okay, but, well, let's take a look at the, again, awesome stuff I got. Again, this is part of the reason why I'm saying we just have stuff. But we have NHL 15. Awesome. We have, and this is going to shock you, NHL 16. Yup, it sure is. Oh, but wait, we've got FIFA 15. Tremendous. Wrestling. more wrestling. Guitar Hero. I don't own a Guitar Hero controller and I'm not too into music. More Guitar Hero. Shrek. Super Slam. This is probably one of the better games we got, and I don't like Shrek to begin with. Shrek Super Party. Hasbro Family Game Night. Awesome. Can you hear my bitterness at this point? A series of unfortunate events. A movie game. That's inspiring. This is actually a good game, but I own it. Minecraft. On the Xbox One. Now, to be fair, this is the Xbox One Minecraft you can't buy anymore. So this might actually be worth something, but I don't need it. We did actually get like 4 games that are kind of worth noting, though. Here's the first one. My Stop Smoking Coach. I mean, I never started, but what's interesting about this one is it's still in the plastic shrink wrap, and someone paid $8 for this thing to sell to me for, I think I ended up paying like a grand total, like maybe 50 cents for it. It's not something I want, but you know, it's a story if nothing else. Now these two I actually did want, for what it's worth. Santa Claus is Coming to Town, based on the hit movie that came out about 50, 60 years before this console ever existed. I think they missed the window, but okay. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, because again, let's make a game for a movie that came out so long ago. Why not? If nothing else, those are at least reviews of something interesting. I can't imagine them good, but interesting. And now we have like the one actually good game they had, and this one was passed up, I think, because it didn't have a box. It was in like this tiny little obscured case, but we have, let's see if we can zoom in on that well enough. Probably not. Come on, autofocus. Do your job. You have one job, do it. I don't think that's gonna work. Great. Oh no, I'm seeing a timer. Okay, anyway, this is Fossil Fighters Champion. I'm sure we're about to get weirdly cut because my camera's weird. This is a Pokemon style game. Basically, you play as a paleontologist who unearths dinosaur bones, and if you complete a full dinosaur, you can turn it into a monster to fight for you. And depending on the rarity of the bones and how well you clean them, depend on your monster's power. That is actually interesting. But like I said, that, Rudolph, and Santa Claus are probably like the best games I got out of that, and that's just because I figured those 2 Wii games I can make fun of for a video. There was 2 other things, if I may shuffle some stuff around over here, that I saw there that I absolutely wanted though. And the first one is this Super Mario Game Boy Advance SP, Nintendo DS. I'd use it for an SP. I don't have one yet, hopefully someday, but it's a Mario holding bag, and she wanted about $10 for this, so that was half the purchase already, and this was kind of what I wanted from the entire purchase. You know, eventually I'm going to get a Game Boy Advance SP. I aspire to it. This will let me carry all my awesome Game Boy Color games like Hamtaro, Power Quest, Super Robot Pinball, and Gomon. So, you know, I kind of like that. That's one of the not crap things I bought there. And the other, I'm not sure this is actually worth anything because it's merchandise for a game that didn't sell terribly well, but we have Sea of Thieves limited edition metal pins, if we can actually zoom in properly. And, you know, I don't know too much about Sea of Thieves. I know it's rare, like Rareware, like trying to not make crappy Kinect games anymore, and I appreciate that. And as it says in the corner, these are limited editions, so they might be worth something. They're apparently numbered, and I've only seen one of these on eBay through their history, and someone wanted like 30 bucks for it, so, you know, maybe if I hold on to them, they'll be worth something someday. I hope. Oh, who knows. Anyway, this table is filled with mostly mediocre, if not straight up bad games, and if you have any interest in any of these things, I am totally open to trades. I'm not expecting much for any of them, but I certainly don't want them. Anyway, I'm going to be back once I clean the table off. Okay, so we're back with a clean table, and man, I gotta say, you know whoever got that mountain of games before me for such a dirt cheap price, you know they got awesome games because they left the inedible popcorn kernels of games that would break your teeth on that table. And to be told that I was that short from getting an awesome bounty, that's one of those things that will probably scar me for life. But anyway, we've got more garage sale picks from another place. Now this place was interesting because it was right down the block from my house, and I actually ran into my mom and I talked to her a little bit to ask if she'd seen any garage sales, because like I said, I've been looking for games just to supply this specific video segment, but also the channel in general for a decent price, because again, I just have no money. Again, if you want to help support that, that's definitely appreciated. But she told me that she saw what she thought was possibly a garage sale, or also more likely a birthday down the street, because she saw little like balloons tied to sticks sitting outside like person's yard. But I went anyway, and it was a garage sale, and they actually did have games. It was run by some kind of like independent filmmaker or whatever, and I talked to him for a little bit, and he had some decent games for a decent price. We're gonna start with Smurf Racer on the PlayStation 1. Yeah. Actually, this game's kind of interesting for me because, first of all, I have no original PlayStation games, but I was actually game hunting with my girlfriend on Facebook a while back, and we actually saw this game, and we figured if we could get cheap, this would be an interesting one. The seller wouldn't eventually sell it to us, because why would you try and actually sell anything if you're a seller? I don't know. But got this for $2, and actually everything this one particular garage sale had was for $2. Next we have The Hobbit. And I paid a lot less than 2 for $20, or $11.99. This was $2. I remember playing this on the GameCube, and I got stuck and remembered it not being all that great. I'm excited to play it again. Hopefully it's better than I remember, because I really like the story of The Hobbit. It was one of the first books I ever read with my mom, and you know, I thought it was an okay game, not great. Hopefully it's better than I remember. Next we have SeaWorld, Shamu's Deep Sea Adventure. Now, I have a fantastic little Jaws game on the Xbox. I am really hoping this is basically going to be exactly like that, including the equal amounts of goofy blood and gore. I'm betting it doesn't, but this cost me $2, and you know, it doesn't look too bad. I don't have a lot of original Xbox games either, so to have this added to the collection, you know, that's not bad for $2, sure. Next we have a game I'm actually kind of excited about. Stolen. I have no idea what this thing is. From its name, I would say it's probably a stealth game, and I loves me my stealth games. The original Thief on the PC and its sequel were two of my favorite PC games of all time. And to see let's see if we can get rid of that glare a little bit. There we go. You know, to see another stealth game out there to try, I'm pretty excited. And you know, if it's not very good, you know, it was $2, so it's not gonna break the bank too badly. Next we have a game I actually kind of have. This is Sonic Mega Collection Plus. I have the original Sonic Mega Collection on the GameCube, and it is a collection of Sonic, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 3D Blast, I believe? And I think that's it. So it has Sonic Spinball and Dr. Robotnik's terrible Puyo Puyo. I hate Puyo Puyo. But this is the Plus version that was not on the GameCube. You get Game Gear titles. I'm really hoping this has Tails Adventure on it, because that is one of the few Game Gear games I actually really want to play. Because I remember hearing that was actually a really great game. But if you're looking for a collection of the original Sonic games, this one's not bad, although I don't think Sonic and Knuckles is actually combined with any of these things. And I'm always just going to say, if you want a Sonic collection done properly, you get Sonic Jam on the Saturn. They were rebuilt from the ground up, they have an enhanced soundtrack, and they are just better in every way. But if you're going to get Mega Collection, get Mega Collection Plus. Alright, next we have Serious Sam 2. And this one has a sealed Microsoft Certificate of Authenticity, which tells me this has never actually been opened. And I played a little bit of the original Serious Sam. I didn't think it was all that interesting, but I remember seeing this one and thinking it was interesting. I've only ever seen one video of this game ever, and it was like a worst of games ever thing, and in the entire video, whoever the video is being made by, all they said was, you know, it's bad because it's less realistic looking, it's brighter, it's colorful, it looks more Wind Waker-y. And, you know, I just remember sitting there thinking and watching this saying, you know, what you're basically saying is this game is better than the original in every single way. Because that sounds way more interesting. I love bright, colorful games. Like seriousness and, you know, brown and gray. They have their points in games, but have some color, have some style. And finally, from this trip, I got Fusion Frenzy. And I remember hearing this was like a must-have Xbox game. It's like a party game for like multiplayer and stuff. I don't have friends to play this with, really. But I remember hearing that this was one of the must-have original Xbox titles. And I mean, it's even for sale nowadays on the Xbox One. It's backwards compatible as well. And for $2, you know, to add it to the list, why not? I mean, I like playing Mario Party every now and then. Although I need to get a copy of that again. But yeah, that was kind of interesting. Now, before I left, like I said, he was sort of an independent filmmaker, and we got to talking. I sort of mentioned, you know, I've got a gaming channel on YouTube. I'm trying to keep stocked with games, and I left him my email because he said, you know, I've got more games I'm not doing anything with. I could sell them to you. And he did actually email me. And within 15 minutes of that email, I went to another garage sale he was hosting to get more games. And again, I just grabbed everything I didn't already own for about $2. We have Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I have another Xbox Harry Potter game. I've got, I think it's Prisoner of Azkaban. I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan. I played the two RPGs Nico sent the show on the Game Boy Color. Those games were pretty fun, if really ridiculously buggy, but you know what? I'm slowly collecting more Harry Potter games. And this one was $2, so even if it's not to my taste, it's a review if nothing else. We have The Sims Bustin' Out. I don't know what this one is. I remember thinking about this game a few times, and every time I did, I got confused with The Herbs Sims in the City as being like a bad spin-off of Sims. But this looks kind of like basically the original Sims, but like a built-in expansion standalone type of thing. I'm not sure what this is, honestly, but I like The Sims. It's a huge time commitment to play, and it's weird, and there's weird psychology to Sims in general, but you know. Alright, next we have something that I didn't own. I never really wanted to own, but here it is. Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Like The Hobbit, I played this on the GameCube, and I remember it being really, really, really exceptionally, but also really bad. I remember standing on top of a wall, just knocking ladders off, while something in the background looked way more interesting than what I was doing, and that was basically the game. It's, from what I remember, kind of a beat-em-up. Actually, a game that reminds me a lot of this, but done right, was a game I reviewed recently that my girlfriend sent to the show, which was Demon Stone. So if you're looking for this, you know, maybe just go get Demon Stone. It's better, from what I remember. But, you know, I got it now, so I guess we can see if it's just as bad as I remember. Next we have Tekken 4. I don't know a lot about Tekken. I played one of them on the Xbox 360 because it had like this weird beat-em-up mode, and that interested me. And I remember playing a little bit of Tekken 3 on the PlayStation at like a family friend's house back when that came out, because it had like a volleyball mode. But I'm not the biggest fighting game guy ever, and I'm not really all that into 3D fighting games, honestly. I like sprite-based fighting games, honestly. I have no idea why I care so much about sprite-based as opposed to 3D fighting games, but I think sprite-based ones tend to last a little bit longer. They're a little bit more timeless, I think. Next we have Burnout 3 Takedown. And I've actually been told this is probably the best Burnout game, so I'm pretty excited. I like Burnout Paradise a lot, but I hear that's also the only open world one, and like I said back with Forza, that's what I like my driving to be. But I hear this one is pretty fantastic. Tons of game modes, vehicles, as well as Crash Mode, which is always fun in these Burnout games. This one is going to be an absolute hit. We have MTV Celebrity Deathmatch, featuring Carrot Top, Mr. T, and others. Because, you know, why not just have Mr. T wail on Dennis Rodman? And it looks like it's like claymation too, which is interesting. This game, I don't think can possibly be good, but like everything else here, it was like $2. And you know, for $2, it's a review, if nothing else. It's something I can make fun of later. And I'm not big on wrestling, in case you couldn't tell with my lack of enthusiasm for the massive number of wrestling games I passed on a few minutes ago. Alright, next we have Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. I have another Gran Turismo game on the PS2. I think it might be Gran Turismo 4? Or the regular 3? I don't know. I know I really want to play Gran Turismo 2, but like I said, I'm not really into driving games as much if it's not open world. Oh, you know what it was? When I was looking at the car list on Ferrari on Forza, I was thinking of this game, which also has it, because I noticed a lack of Ferrari listed, and that kind of pissed me off, because as a big fan of Outrun, you gotta have your Ferraris, and this one doesn't have it listed, which is weird. Alright, next we have Sled Storm. I remember playing this on the PS1, I think it was this one. It was some... I'm just going to bump the camera as a number flashes at me, indicating that we're probably going to get a cut somewhere. But I remember playing Sled Storm on the PS1, and I remember thinking that was really good, even though I don't care for motor sleds or anything like that. It's just not something that interests me. Could be because I live in Canada and it snows 10 months out of the year that I have no interest in anything winter sport related, but it was $2. And just as I was about to leave, I saw this and said, yup, I need that in my life. Brendan Fraser's The Mummy Returns. And I don't know if it was the original Mummy or this one, but I remember seeing a little bit about one of these games. And someone once described this as basically Tomb Raider with Brendan Fraser, and you know, I kind of like Brendan Fraser about as much as it's humanly possible to like him anyway. And, you know, he's an okay actor, I guess. But, you know, if you're gonna play as Brendan Fraser raiding tombs and stuff, yeah, that's actually kind of awesome. Also, it looks like it has digitized The Rock, which was kind of nice. Actually, I've never seen those Mummy movies. I saw a little bit of the Scorpion King. There was like an excellent scene with The Rock. But that would be about it. Now that was it for that collection of stuff from that one guy. However, when I was leaving, he did have a friend who was like there with him saying that they were moving and that he was gonna get like a hold of a bunch of her games to get rid of. So, you know, maybe in the future we're gonna have something more. Alright, next we have another tiny garage sale I went to, and like I said before, this one seemed like, you know, I'm just gonna move the camera back just a scooch. I just showed up like 10 minutes late because there's only like 4 games there. I asked if they had any more and they just said no, I think it's already been picked through, so it's kind of sad. But, you know, they were $2 each as well. We got Lego Batman the video game. I actually don't like these Lego games all that much. Like they're fun enough, but they're structured terribly. Because every single one of these has a bunch of levels that like you can't 100% complete until you have a character that's only available like after you beat the game, and you can only use it in that level after you beat that level like through 3 other modes, and it just feels like a giant waste of time. I can't stand the way those are structured. And it's a shame too, because these are goofy, really fun games. They're great games for kids too, but I just cannot stand the way these games are freaking structured. But for $2, you know, it's nice to add a game to the collection I didn't own before. That doesn't sound like the worst thing ever. Next we have Terminator, Dawn of Fate, and also holographic cover. Shiny, shiny. I don't remember if it was this one or one on DOS, but I remember there being one really good Terminator game that was like a first-person shooter. This one looks like a third-person shooter, but it looks like down here it even says it has like a first-person mode. So, I don't know, but, you know, this would mark the very first Terminator game I've ever played, and again, it's an Xbox game. I don't have a lot of those, so to have another one, that doesn't hurt my feelings. And because we have the first one, why not get Fusion Frenzy 2? I didn't even know this game existed, but apparently it does. Also, this game is really gross. Like, it's got like stickiness and hair in the case. It's got no cover. Whoever had this before me just didn't take care of it, but you know, I'm gonna have to clean this up at some point. But Fusion Frenzy 2, not familiar with it, but I assume it's another party game for the Xbox. And assuming because we don't have Fusion Frenzy 3 right now, it probably wasn't that great. Now, this was the last one at this garage sale, but it's not even really a full game. PlayStation Underground Jam Pack, Winter 2001, featuring Jak and Daxter, one of the characters from Kinetica, that guy Tedious that I don't like very much, and some sports person. And I once did a review, like a full playthrough of a demo I had when I was a kid, and I never had any more demos, but I always wanted more demos, because there were just, you could go and get like any magazine and get like a free demo disc back in the day, and I loved that. I never had any because they were so expensive, and I, you know, never had a PlayStation, but still, I've always wanted to do more videos on demos, and now I got another one, so I think we're going to have to do a full playthrough. But we have like SSX Tricky, which I actually kind of like SSX a little bit. I played a little bit of like the modern reboot, and it was okay. The terrible Final Fantasy X, no thank you. Dynasty Warriors 3, not a big fan of Dynasty Warriors. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, I own the full version of this. I got it for free, and I still never actually played it. Never heard of Extermination. I love Jak and Daxter the Precursor Legacy. Spoilers, I've got a review for it. Go watch it, it's good. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, I am abysmal at all the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games. I've played almost every single one of them, but I'm just awful at them. And the only one I actually liked is American Wasteland, but I've played all of them for some bizarre reason. Drakan the Ancient Gates, never heard of that game, ever. We've got Kinetica, which is a game I bought a buddy of mine for his birthday way like 15-20 years ago, back when, you know, it was brand new. And that looked like an interesting game, but what I really was interested in was Okage Shadow King. This is an RPG I have wanted to play for a very long time, and I've tried to buy it numerous times and never successfully, but for a demo to play that at the very least, that's something interesting for me. And it was $2, and like I said, it's a demo disc, and I want to kind of collect a few more of these, I think, because it'd be fun. Also, Sony Entertainment America Inc. will donate a portion of proceeds we receive for the sale of this jam pack to aid the victims of September 11th tragedy. So everyone right now, go complain to Sony, because they need to send a portion of $2 to the memory of the September 11th tragedy, because that's important. I don't think they're going to honor that, but they absolutely should, because they promised in print. It is legal now. And we got a few more. I think I'm going to have to clean off the table yet again. Oh, we'll see. I'm running out of time on my card, though, so we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so cut to another day of garage sailing. I went to 3 places this time, and this will be the last set of garage sale games, I think. The first place didn't immediately have games, but I think it's worth talking about anyway. I walked up, and it was actually being run by an old buddy of mine. It was the manager to the very first job I ever got back when I was 14. And, you know, he was selling a bunch of stuff. We got to talking about some stuff. It was great. And he asked what I was looking for specifically, and I just said, oh, I'm just looking for video games, you know how it is. And it turns out his brother recently passed away, and it's very sad. But apparently he had inherited a bunch of huge boxes of comic books, figures, and video games, and didn't know what any of it was worth. So apparently he's going to call me in the future, so, you know, we might end up with more games because of this, so I thought I'd bring it up, but there was nothing immediately there. And I went there on the way to go grocery shopping. So we go to the second of 3 garage sales I went to today, still on the way to grocery shopping. And it was a tiny sale. I honestly thought I wouldn't even bother going out there, but, you know, I saw 2 nice old ladies running the place, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to go up there, you know, acknowledge them, try and make their day a little bit better, you know, just sort of my thing. And, you know, I walked up and one of the ladies running it turned to me and said, "You look like you're here for video games." And, I had this huge grin on my face, and she took me to like this little tiny corner of her little picnic blanket, because it was a very small sale, and she showed me like this little section, and there was no video games. There was just a bunch of like really old board games I had no real interest in. And, you know, to be polite, I was just saying, well, you know, I'm really more interested in video games. It's sort of my thing. And she just looked at me and she's like, no, we got a couple here. She overturned like this huge box of, what is it, Seen It? And she pulled out these right here. 2 plug-and-play systems. And I saw these and thought, you know, they're more official than pirate games, but I kind of associate plug-and-plays with, you know, pirate gaming, so these would be cool to add to our list of things we could do for pirate gaming in the future. And I asked the lady how much did she want for both of them, and she said she wanted $15 each, and that's probably not a horrible price, but it's more than I had. So I just said, oh, that might not be what I can afford. And then just suddenly, this huge burst of wind comes out of nowhere. And it actually ended up developing into like the worst dust storm ever. Like, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. Now the nice thing is, about that point I was actually grocery shopping, and it lasted for about an hour, so I was mostly okay. But I was there at the start when it got really, really windy. And while I was there, almost everything on their blanket blew away. I ran after it, caught all of it, and just like started pulling all their stuff underneath the eaves so that like it was just out of the wind and stuff. And the lady who was running it still was holding both of these, and she just looked at me kind of surprised that I would actually bother doing that, and she just turned to me and said, "Alright, you can have them both for $5. So I went from not getting both of these for $30 to getting both for $5. And let's take a look at these, because these are like old arcade games and Intellivision games, so they're probably not the most interesting things. There's like 1,000,001 collections of these out there, but again, I thought it'd be interesting for pirate gaming. And we got Burger Time, that one's a pretty good one. We got Burnin' Rubber, Escape It, Frontline, Jungle Hunt, Lock and Chase, I love that on the Intellivision, Miss It, Polaris, Shield Shifter, Space Invaders, never been the biggest Space Invaders fan, that was my mom. And I showed this to her and she got kind of excited actually. We have Space Raid and something called Strip Off, which might be 18 plus, I'm not sure. And on this one, which is an Atari flashback as opposed to just a Legends flashback, we have Adventure, Adventure 2, Asteroids, Atari Video Cube, I'm not familiar with that one, Championship Soccer, Crystal Castles, I remember that one being pretty good, Double Dunk, Gravatar, Haunted House, I remember that one being pretty good too, Maze Craze, Missile Command, Off the Wall, Real Sports Baseball, Real Sports Tennis, I'm betting I won't be playing either of those, Secret Quest, I don't know what that is, that sounds interesting, Skydiver, Submarine Commander, I wonder if that's like the, space shuttle game, that game was great, something called Surround, Video Chess, and Video Pinball. And, you know, that's an interesting little compilation. Also, they used the Space Invaders box art, and I've always loved this character's design. That's great. What's also interesting about this, though, is this uses a Blast HDMI, because talking is hard, dongle. And from what I can tell, this is a wireless system that doesn't use, like, infrared. Normally these things use infrared, and it's terrible because you have to, like, line up the controller with the receiver. This one, you just plug it into an HDMI port and apparently it works. I haven't had a chance to try it, but you know, $5, how bad could it be? I feel like I shouldn't ask that because I'm having not the best luck with all this stuff, but hopefully. Now, after I went grocery shopping, I went to one more on the way back. And it was on this little side road right next to the grocery store, and I was having weird amounts of deja vu, because I'd actually been there before. I went there last year, and again, I almost didn't go in because I remember thinking they never had any video games. It was run by an elderly couple, and typically if you're looking for video games, you're looking for someone my age or maybe a little older, just as a demographic of sellers, really. And I was about to just sort of walk by when I remembered that last year, at the very back of their garage, while they weren't selling video games, I did remember seeing a Wii balance board. So I decided to go in and check, and this was a tiny garage that could fit maybe 5 people. This might be the most popular garage sale I've ever seen, because it had, like, myself and the sellers included, like 20 people in it. And it had a couple neat things in it, but I couldn't see anything I really needed. It had like this neat little digital clock of a Lego man dressed as a vampire I thought was kind of cool, but they were asking for so much money. And I was just sort of looking around, I didn't see any games, I was about to leave when I saw in this tiny little dusty, dark, hidden corner a little box that looked like it had maybe a video game box in it. And like I said, getting video games in this game, thank you brain, getting video games in this town is really hard, especially from places like garage sales, because there are so few games in this town that hunters just pick them up before anyone ever gets a chance to. And this place was cramped, so when I saw something that looked vaguely video game-ish, I moved it slightly, I took a look, and then I put it back just ever so cautiously, because I didn't want to draw attention to myself. I looked at the lady who was running the place and I asked her, how much do you want for this box? Because I could barely see the box, I could see a little bit of one thing in it. And she just said, oh, that box? She yells at the top of her lungs, and like literally everyone turns to look at me, and I genuinely felt like I was like a tiny mouse being like cornered by an army of cats, because it looked like a lot of people suddenly saw, oh, he's got a box that might have something interesting in it, and it looked like it might have games in it, and a few people almost like tried to run at me and like grab the box and the stuff out of my hands, because they wanted it that bad, because like I said, getting games in this town, a little bit tiny tricky. Anyway, you know, she said she wanted $50 for the box, and I said, I got 20 in my pocket, that's what I have, is that good enough? And she then says at the top of her lungs, oh, that box with that Wii stuff in it? And then suddenly everyone turns and starts like slowly edging closer and closer to me. Like I was genuinely frightened someone was gonna like grab it and like just wail on me or something. Like I felt like I was genuinely in danger. Anyway, the lady running this, she's umming and ahhing, and then she's like, all right, I was told to get rid of it, I'll take it for $20. So I hand her the $20. Still haven't seen what's in this box, mind you. And I take off, and we're gonna take a look at what's in this box. So this is what I saw, and this is actually what made me kind of make an offer on this. And it's not actually what I thought it was. This is another case of me being a dumbass and thinking it was a different game. We have We Love Golf. And I'm not a sports guy, I don't really care about golf, but I thought this was, Super Swing Golf, which is the Wii version of Pyongya, the big popular Korean golf MMO, because I really want to play that because it looks interesting. But there was, and I was disappointed to learn that this wasn't this. But first of all, Capcom. But there's something else about this that was kind of interesting to me. Look at that little logo up there, that little castle. That reminds me of something. And you know, if we turn around, we can see down there, that castle is in fact the castle I think it is. This is a game made by Camelot, the people who made the excellent Mario Golf games, the excellent Shining Force games, and a little known game that I happen to love, called Golden Freakin' Sun. This might not be the Korean golf MMO I wanted, based on fantasy and awesome, and seriously, I gotta get a copy of that. But this sounds interesting to me. Now this was something else I kinda sorta saw in there, and likewise it was another instance of me thinking it was a different game. Let me kind of sort this a little so I can kind of show off stuff better, I think. There. That is Wii Ski and Snowboard. Now, I've heard the original Wii Ski is very good. I don't know if this is a remake or a sequel or what, but I heard that it's not so much a skiing game as it is a game filled with like Ridge Racer and tons of like other secret like references and interesting little hidden things, and that interests me. I've heard the original is very good. I'm hoping this is basically the same game, because I want to experience that. I'm not sure if, like I said, I'm not sure if that's an update or a remix or a sequel or what, but I'm hoping that it's at least kind of vaguely good. Next we have something I'm not remotely all that interested with. We have Carnival Mini Golf. I've seen a lot of these carnival games and they tend to not go for a lot of money because they're not very good from what I can understand. I do like mini golf games though. I really liked the Candy Stand Lifesavers mini golf. I wish you could still play it. That game was awesome. But I'm not super excited about this, but you know, again, I paid $20 for sight unseen this box, and I got 2 games that I was kind of interested in, even if they're not sort of what I thought they were. Next we have Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympic Games. Now, again, I live in Canada. It snows like 10 months out of the year here. I don't care about Winter Olympics, and I don't really care so much about Mario and Sonic Olympic competitions. My girlfriend swears by these games though. But what's sad about this one, no disc. But I've got a theory, and I'll leave it at there. We will be back to that theory in a little bit. Next we have We Play. Okay, it said movie stopped recording altogether. Anyway, this is We Play. And I actually had this before. It was stolen. And this isn't so much a game as it is sort of a tech demo. Basically, when the Wii launched, you could... The only way, as far as I know, you could buy a second Wii Remote was to get one bundled with this. This was basically just a free game you got with a Wii Remote. And it came with a couple mini games. It had like it says pool. It has like this weird character matching thing where you have to get your character to like match the portrait or whatever. It had like this combat style tank game that I remember being really good. Shooting game, table tennis, who cares? Where's Waldo with Mies. It had a couple games. I don't remember it being very good, but for a freebie with Wii Remotes, not bad. I'm gonna take a drink of water because my throat is killing me. Next we have Wii Sports. It's the game everyone owns. I already own it, but you know what? Why not? This one's a little bit interesting. My Sims Racing. I remember playing the original My Sims and it being not very good. I want to get another copy just to review, because again, I don't remember it being very good, but these games are popular. There's a major crap ton of My Sims games. There's one set in like medieval like Europe. There's one that's set to like a spy thriller. There's a bunch of these things. I never realized there was a racing game though. So if nothing else, this is a learning experience that I owned for a portion of $20. That again, I feel was probably covered by the first 2 games. Next we have Pinball Hall of Fame, the Williams Collection. When I first saw this, I was pretty excited because I thought maybe it would be, it would have Black Hole, but I think that might have been a Gottlieb table, I think. But looking at the back, it does in fact, let's zoom in, because it has one I'm really excited about. Come on, let's zoom in. Zoom in better than that, please. It's not going to zoom in. Zoom. Awkward amounts of lacking zoom. There we go. We got Black Knight. And Black Knight, I remember being a very early table that had voice clips and an awesome soundtrack, which is pretty cool. It also has Gorgar, which was the very first pinball table to ever feature voice clips. So it's important. It doesn't have Black Hole, but it has Black Knight, and that's pretty awesome as well. Now we did have one other game in that box, and as far as I can tell, looking in the box, we have this little obscure thing called Mario Kart, which would mark the first Mario Kart game I've ever owned. No, I've got the Switch one, but this would be the second one. Really trying to get the GameCube one, because that's the one I played the crap out of back in the day, but again, I mean, I paid $20 for these games alone. I think it's paid off with Mario Kart. But we're not done yet, because we've got a Wii Gun, and I actually kind of like this. It fits in the hand nice. It's got like little nice grooves here. I don't care so much for this baby blue on white though. I might have to paint that baby blue something less dumb. And right down here the plastic flexes a little if I can get that on camera. But you know, that's actually not a bad little knockoff peripheral. I'm not going to put that on the table because we don't have room. Next we have a silver Wii wheel, and this actually has like a faux leather grip, and it actually has some weight to it. It's actually pretty comfortable. I might actually like this better than the proper Wii wheel. The only thing it doesn't have is like the extended B button, And I mean, that did basically nothing to begin with, so you know what? This might be a better peripheral. I'm thinking about reviewing these peripherals separately, honestly. We have, oh shit, this. It's the head of a baseball bat for bludgeoning people. And when you try to bludgeon someone with this, you will promptly be shot, I'm sure. Alright, what else do we have? Oh yeah, we've got the thing it connects to. This really bad knockoff tennis racket thing that supposedly does something. Oh, these are bad knockoff peripherals. We have another head. We have a golf club head. These all tie into that little handle that the tennis racket's connected to. What else do we have down here? We got some cables. We don't need that. Should be some off-screen stuff. I apologize. We have this. This is actually cool. An official Wii wheel with the extended B button. Again, I think I like the silver one a little bit better, but otherwise it's basically identical. Now, we have not one, but two Wii remotes. We have a nunchuck, a second nunchuck. Let's see what else. We've got another golf club head that doesn't have a thing attached to it because reasons. Let's see, what else do we have in here? Oh yeah, the last thing in here. And it's only worth a passing mention because it's not all that impressive. But remember how I said Mario and Sonic was kind of missing and how I had a theory? And we'd be back to that? Well, we're back, baby. Because I've got a Wii. And I think this Wii might actually happen to have Mario and Sonic in it. I haven't unplugged it or plugged it in and checked, but I'm pretty sure that's where it is. So, bear in mind, I have all these games, a metric crap ton of peripherals that if nothing else I can make a goofy, dumb review with. And if I clean this up, I could probably just sell this Wii alone for probably at least 60 bucks, probably more. I bought that sight unseen for $20. That's not too bad. I mean, there's not a lot here that I actually like actively want. I mean, like I said, that golf game I wanted isn't exactly the one I wanted. That ski game I wanted isn't exactly the one I wanted. None of this is necessarily what I wanted, except Mario Kart maybe. But you know what? Sight unseen, buying a Wii, a bunch of games, and a bunch of peripherals, 20 bucks, that's not too bad. And we are once again running out of space and I have to go charge the battery, but we will be back with the last few games that we need to talk about in a sec. Okay, so that is all the games I acquired, but that's not all the games I've got. Earlier this week, I actually got 2 packages in the mail, and let's just go over them. Now, I was having a really crap week, and when I saw this first package, I opened it up immediately, and I smiled. I was very excited because, oh snap, it's Pokemon Snap. This was in a small package donated by someone who wished to remain anonymous, and I will respect those wishes. But I'm so happy I've got this game now. I played the crap out of this back when I was a kid. I was so excited I immediately had to stream this, and I actually did like a full playthrough on stream. And you will be able to see it on this channel probably in a week or two, about the time the review for this comes out. But I was super excited I got to finally play Pokemon Snap after all these years. Because rail shooter with Pokemon doesn't sound all that sensible, but when you play it, it's actually pretty good. Now, it's not perfect, it's a very short game, and I wish it had a sequel, because it's awesome. But, you know, it's a great game, and I think it's very indicative. Now, this next thing does not have a case, and it's a disc, so I gotta get it out of this little paper sleeve. But this was in the box with Pokemon Snap. And we have this. Yu-Gi-Oh! Forgotten Memories, Forbidden Memories. I'm reading out of a blurry thing behind the camera. I'm not super familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh! Games. I think I watched the first arc of the anime back when I was a kid, and I collected the ever-living crap out of the cards, but I never played the game because I didn't know how. And to be fair, I don't think anyone knew how to play this game. My collection with Yu-Gi-Oh games, I actually had like hundreds of cards, and it was really expensive because the only way to buy the cards in this town was to go down to a dollar store, and they had like this little sticker vending machine where you could put in $2 and get a sticker. They also had Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So I built a collection of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, $2 a card. I probably spent hundreds of dollars just for cards that I never actually played with, but I just love looking at the art. What was my favorite one? The Celtic Knight, I think, was the name of my favorite one. I had like a holographic version of him, and that was a really cool card for me. But those two were donated by one very cool anonymous individual who definitely made my day, and it's even better, they included a PS1 memory card, which is something I lacked. So now I can play a Ball of Burn as well as Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm going to try and make some videos with Yu-Gi-Oh! Pretty soon. But those aren't the only games I got, because I also got a little care package from my girlfriend, and it included 2 games. So first and foremost, we have Sim Earth, The Living Planet. I actually don't know too much about this game. It was on my list, and it looked like a very complicated game, but I remember hearing that someone once made a civilization so advanced that they like created self-replicating robots that ended up overthrowing all of humanity, and then going to war with each other, blowing each other up with nukes, left the planet, and then the planet like regenerated and created like a race of plant people, only to have the robots come back and just wipe them all out. And I remember thinking, when I read that, I need to play that. I don't know how good this is. I'm gonna have to play it soon, but I am really excited about Sim Earth, The Living Planet. And this final one has a little bit of build-up because it's been, well, it's been a long time coming before I got it. So, my girlfriend and I like to go game hunting, and she wanted to get me a Christmas present. And I remember we were looking through so many different things, and I found this really interesting listing she showed me. It had 4 games on it. It had, well, 4 things anyway. It had a portable Super Nintendo, which sounds very cool. A Super Nintendo copy of Sparkster, which I didn't know existed, but seeing as it had the same box art as the Genesis one, I'm betting it's a completely different game, because of course it was. A copy of Lufia 2, which is now currently one of my more wanted Super Nintendo games, because I've got the first one. And then when I finally saw this final one, all I could say was, holy shit, Spike McFang by Bulletproof Software, or, as the cool kids like to call them, Bips. And Bips was a company that really liked to go out and make a bunch of puzzle games for the Super Famicom, usually using the word Tetris, even though none of them had anything to do with Tetris. They also made Keeper, which was a great game. But Spike McFang is what I would call probably the most rare and obscure officially released North American Super Nintendo game. Because, like, you know, Earthbound is stupidly expensive, but it's not a rare game. This game is pretty rare and obscure. I've only ever met one person who's ever even heard of this game. And this is basically like a top-down action RPG adventure sort of thing, not dissimilar to, say, like Legend of Zelda or something. But you play as the titular Spike McFang, a vampire magician, back before Agent 47 made it cool. He's the original hipster vampire magician. And I just remember thinking this game sounded so neat, and I always wanted a copy, but I'd never seen one. And like I said, the only person I've ever seen or heard ever mention this was RVGfanatic.com, who gave a raving review of this, so I'm really excited to play this. This is one of my most wanted Super Nintendo games, so to run into this, that was really cool. And she ended up spending about 80 bucks on this, I think, and typically, like, cart alone, this game goes for like $200, $300, so to get this, this is huge. Also, I have no idea what Funko Land is. I think it's probably some retro game theme park, which I've never heard of. Seriously, what the hell is Funko Land? Anyway, that is the last game I want to show you right now. I do have one more, but I can't show it right now, and there's special reasons, but I'll show it at the end. Anyway, I will quick cuts, remove all this stuff, and we will get to figures. Okay, so we are here looking at figures. We don't have too much today, but there's an important reason for that. A big important reason. Anyway, the first one I got ties in with my love of, and I've mentioned this so many times, Game Center CX. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's an awesome retro game show about a Japanese comedian being bad at retro games, and it's just endearing and lovely. What's great about that, aside from everything, is the lead writer for that show is this huge Sega nerd. And it turns out he actually wrote a Sega-themed anime about the Sega consoles being basically anthropomorphized characters going to high school to prove that they are the greatest Sega consoles ever. Well, I was out buying Gunpla, and I saw this at the Ami Ami pre-owned section. And I thought, you know, if I'm ever going to get one of these, it might as well be this one. I got me an Android of the greatest console ever, Sega Saturn, from the Sega High School girls, and as it shows, there's a little tiny Sega Saturn in there as well, and a controller. I'm actually planning on getting like a little tiny scale model TV to put it under, and like scale model paint Panzer Dragoon Saga on there, although I can't even afford scale model Panzer Dragoon Saga. Oh god, it's so expensive. But this is my girl's Sega Saturn, based off my favorite console of all time. There was a bigger statue of her, but that was worth hundreds of dollars. And, you know, I've never had an Android before. This one was really, really, really inexpensive, and these have wicked quality. Like, I watched a video on their quality control. It's kind of ridiculous. But there's tons of stuff. It comes with a little Sega Saturn, like I said. It comes with their little staffs. And you should go watch the Sega High School girls, because it's awesome. But, watch that after Game Center CX. But we got my girl's Sega Saturn over here. I'm going to take her out of the box when this is over. Should have done that before, but I didn't. Okay, next is something I picked up physically, and these are a little bit disconnected from figures, but bear with me. Now, I have been assisting my grandmother with gardening stuff, especially since my grandfather passed away, but this year I've sort of become her official gardener of sorts. And that led me to going on a trip with her to this really tiny town that had a nursery she wanted to go to. And how tiny this town is. Let me put this in perspective. Their claim to fame is that they have an ice cream shop. That's how small this town was. But next to the ice cream shop, there was a candy shop. And I bought a couple of things there. The first thing I bought was this creepy thing. Which is just like this little tiny candy tin of this bizarre egg creature that just looks like it is terrified to be alive. And apparently, if you look on the back, if I can get autofocus to autofocus properly, hopefully, possibly, it's a Sanrio character. I don't think it's autofocused. There we go. Yeah, it's a Sanrio character. So this terrified egg thing that is an abomination unto nature is apparently a friend of Hello Kitty's. But I just saw this terrified packaging and said, you know what? I need that in my life. And inside were these like delicious, bizarre, vanilla flavored candies that I went and ate. This other thing I got there I haven't yet eaten, and that's because I want to actually review this, and I might do this after I'm done. But we have this bizarre thing, the Surprise Cube, misspelled cube, Fruitalicious chewy candy featuring Super Mario, and it's shaped like a Mario block. And apparently it contains candy, and I think it also contains like a toy or something. I don't know, but I thought this would be a neat thing to review, just because it's so different, and it would, you know, it'd be a neat thing to do. So I got that as well, and I might do something with that later. Alright, next is, and I've got a flashing battery logo, that's not good. So if we get a weird cut, I apologize. Next is a bundle I got from my figure guy. I spent about $15 on this in total, and it's all Gundam stuff, but we got these two Zaku heads, and I still haven't done anything with the first one, but like I said, I want to actually make a video assembling one of these because they're actually really, really nice, and they're actually really easy to put together, and these are normally like 20 bucks each, so to get both of those plus whatever else is in this box for about 15, not bad. Next, I don't know what this is. If anyone knows, let me know. It's a little Haro. but it's weird. You've got like these little flaps underneath that are legs that you can pull out. You've got these little top flaps that are its ears or something. You can pull these out as well, and they open in tandem, which is weird. It's got this flap on the back. I have no idea what it is, and I can't open that one. But what's weird is it has like some kind of slot on top that looks almost like a headphone jack or something. Like, when I first saw this, I thought maybe it was like a mini MP3 player or something. I have no idea what this thing is. It's also got like a weird slot underneath, but it's different. I don't know what that is. This thing is weird. Seriously, if anyone knows what I just bought, let me know. But like I said, it was in a bundle. Next are, and like the games, there's one thing I can't show right off, I'll show later. But we got 2 postcards. We have this guy, which is the RX-782 with a little Amuro hanging outside, and a gun cannon in the background, and I loves me my gun cannon. And this other thing which I bought with this bundle, that was actually the reason why I bought the bundle aside from the Zaku heads. This is a postcard of the 1-to-1 RX-782 Gundam that you could find in Odaiba. And this I wanted specifically. This is what really pushed me to buy this, because I will never see this, because this doesn't exist anymore. They took it down and replaced it with a 1-to-1 Unicorn Gundam, and I'm not a big Unicorn Gundam fan. I hear they're rebuilding it and actually trying to make it like animatronic, which is kind of cool, but you know, I kind of just wish I'd seen this. Anyway, I got one more thing from this box, but I can't show it until a little bit later. And, well, next we have something very important to me. And my battery's about to cut out, so I'm gonna have to jump cut real quick, and I apologize. And we're back with about 10% battery. I left it on the charger for about 10 minutes. I really just want to get this done, because we're getting there. Anyway, we went from this box of Gundam stuff I paid like $15 for, really nice postcard, really excited about that, to something that is kind of a bit of a story, as everything is with me, but also something very important. Okay, so this goes back to about 2012. This little company called Yujin, and you would know them as the guys who made my little Cammy figurine I showed you way back when. They made this series of gashapons, and they're really known for their high-quality gashapons. Called their series was called Shooting Game Historica, and this series proved to be very popular. It was basically little mini figurines of all your favorite shmup heroes. And it was so popular that it got a sequel. In fact, it's still running today. I think they're on their like 9th series at this point. It's crazy. But in 2013, they made the 2nd series of Shooting Game Historica. And I saw 2 figures in this series that I wanted immensely. These were the first 2 figures I ever saw that I ever cared about. These were what made me want figures in the first place. And I wanted them so bad. However, in 2013, when they were brand new, eBay sellers were charging $100 for every single one of those little tiny figures. And I just decided, you know, that's price gouging. I'm going to put this on my eBay watch list. I'll get a notification when one goes up at a decent price, and then I'll get it. Cut to 7 years later, 2019. Still hasn't ever been listed again. They are wildly rare, wildly expensive. Until about a week or 2 after my birthday in February. One eBay seller has 3 full sets of them on sale. Sold individually, of course, for about $15 each American, so about $25 here. And that's a lot of money. But bear in mind, when these first came out, they were $100 each. And I don't have a lot of money, but I decided, you know, these are important to me. These are what made me want to collect figures in the first place. These were the catalyst. These are the reasons why I did this, because I figured if I go collecting figures and I find people who sell them, I will find these eventually. So I decided, even though it was a lot of money for me, I decided, you know what, I want these. I've wanted these for a very long time, and it's been 7 years since I've seen any of them. I'm going for these. And when I buy both of them, they sell out. Meaning that, you know, I got the last one of each of the 2 figures I wanted. So I uncompleted some theoretical person's complete collection of these, whereas 2 other people bought a full set. And it's all well and good. Cut to about 2 months later, and that's pretty long for something shipping from Japan. Japan shipments, oddly enough, get here faster than American ones for whatever reason. And I receive a package that contains this little guy. This is Opa Opa, classic Sega hero, and if you're into classic history of my channel, the hero of the 3rd game I ever reviewed. But more importantly to me, he's the hero of the very first game I ever played, as well as the first game I ever owned, Fantasy Zone 2, The Tears of Opa Opa, on the Sega Master System. And that's wildly important to me. And, you know, if a younger version of me ever thought he would have a miniature figure of his game's hero on his shelf, I think he would have exploded. That's how important this is to me. And I loved this little guy with a passion. And there's actually 2 Opa Opa figures. The original Shooting Game Historica actually had one that didn't have the feet and had the jet boosters instead of wings, but I think the feet and the wings are kind of iconic. Plus this one comes with the Monty Python reference giant heavy weight bomb that you can use as a stand. Although it did come with a different stand, but I don't use that. So this one is totally awesome. Now, like I said, the package said it had 2 figures in it. So you'll imagine my confusion when only this guy's inside of it. Now, I have a theory as to what happened, and, you know, if anyone out there understands how customs works better than me, because I don't understand to save my life, you know, feel free to explain this to me. But I have a theory that kind of at least gives the seller the benefit of the doubt. See, the package also contained this. And I don't know how well the camera's going to pick this up, but it's a little keychain of a Super Mario coin. And this little Super Mario coin keychain, with a little toad face because they couldn't be asked to give me Princess Peach, an actual good character, you know, I think this was a sort of like bonus, just sort of thank you present for shopping with them. And you know, that's all well and good, but they included that in the same package that had 2 figures and said it contained 2 figures. So what I think happened is that Customs saw that it had 3 things in it, took one out and threw it away. Again, that's giving the seller a lot of credit. Cut to about 2.5 months later. This is about the point where you can no longer, you know, rate a purchase you made on eBay or complain or anything. I had 1 day left to do this, and I contacted the seller asking, you know, did you send this to me? I have 1 day to either, you know, recommend you or, you know, give eBay hell for the crappy practices you're doing. And he gives me this completely awkward answer that doesn't answer anything. Basically he said, well, I may have sent you 2 separate packages as opposed to 1, which again doesn't make sense because the shipping was free, but you know, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But he said, you know what, I will send you an extra copy of, you know, the figure you're missing, and I will extend your sale date so you can still complain for a little bit. Cut to a month later, I still haven't heard anything. I'm wildly impatient for what it's worth. So, you know, at this point, I'm just frustrated. I'm trying to contact the seller yet again, and I'm not getting any response this time. I decide to go check out their stock. Nothing's listed. I try checking out their profile. It's been deleted. So I guess the seller was just completely phony or something, but he still sent me a legitimate product. So I don't know. But I went to PayPal, I complained, and for the first time ever, PayPal actually did their job and gave me a full refund. And they gave me a full refund of the full order. So I got Opa Opa and my little crappy toad keychain for free. And I got a full refund. Cut to a week later, and I find a seller selling the entire set of figures that I'm missing. But more importantly, the only one I want. Now, they're actually selling this for about $15 more than the total I got refunded for me. But at this point, I was frustrated and just said, look, this is important to me. I've wanted it for so long. I'm going to get this, and then I will be done with it. And, you know, cut to a month later, we go from my first shmup hero to my favorite shmup hero. This is what is considered to be the holy grail of the shooting game Historica, individual figures anyway. This is Musha Aleste, from my favorite shmup of all time, and a game I really need to get a hold of, Musha on the Sega Genesis. He's a badass samurai who doesn't take shit from no one. And he's got tons of little detail, like he's got like his own little insignia in his skirting right there, and he's got like a little pre-painted horn and stuff too. This is a really cool figure. And this is considered to be like the highlight of all the shooting game Historica figures. And this is the one I wanted above all else. And that actually kind of puts me in a weird position. Because like I said, these two are what made me want to collect figures in the first place. You've seen me start collecting figures. That was the start of, you know, in this series. And now I have the reason why I wanted to collect figures in the first place. So it's kind of the end of an era. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm going to stop collecting figures, but I've got the ones I want. So I don't know. Maybe I got to find more interesting figures. If you know interesting figures that you can get for decent prices, let me know, because I'm interested. But, you know, these ones meant the world to me, and they were 7 years in the making for me to get them. And now I have them. And I'm without words because I waited so long, and like I said, I'm impatient, but these mean so much to me. I just think they're so cool. But I'll clean up and we will enter the last phase of this, where we talk about our old classic favorite robot kits, the Gunpla. Alright, and we are here with Gunpla with not one but two models. I've already shown you on this, because I'm done. I'm pretty excited to show them off. So I think we'll start with my Haro, because this was a cool gift from my girlfriend. Let us just remove this and show him off. This is my Haro. He's awesome. I decided to sort of take it in a completely different direction than most people probably would. I decided to make it look like an absolute walking junkyard. Gave it scarring, tried to do some blast damage. I even gave it like a little oily pit stains because I thought that'd be cool. Gave him some missiles, which are from the Barbatos. That was one of the Barbatos's like missile launchers on his wrists. I got a little expansion pack, gave it a little jet pack, gave it some different colored helicopter doodads. These are actually like a different color paint depending on which color you'll, or which direction you look at it. Sometimes it looks sort of green, other times it looks kind of vaguely purple, sometimes it looks copper. It's really interesting. This paint is actually textured to look like rust, and it's weird. That bronze hand is actually nail polish, and the gun he's holding is actually a neat little bit of my personal history. That is an SD Jagens rifle that I cut down a little bit, and that was the first thing I ever tried to weather. There's just tons of little things about this Haro that I thought were really, really cool. For one thing, I gave him my personal paint job, a little bit of red on top of white. Caution striping, which is an absolute pain in the ass to actually paint. And I don't know how well it's going to come off on screen, but all the black is cracking because that's not actually paint. That's vinyl dye on top of paint, and it doesn't like paint all that much. Similarly to this hip, that is actually a mistake I left in. I actually snapped that leg open, and it's actually being held on by this brick, which I do believe is a part of the old high-grade Zeta Gundam's transformation brick. Also, I hand-painted a logo. I'm rather impressed with my ability to hand-paint something, considering I can't draw to save my life. Also, I saw these little pipes on the back and had to paint them gold, because they remind me of Robo from Chrono Trigger. But there's just... I decided to like smash all the paint jobs, like the knees, which I'm pointing to on my viewfinders if you could see that. Those are painted different colors. You got one that's red, one that's blue. You've got the caution striping, you've got like a standard paint job for aircraft wings on the back. You've got gold. This thing is an absolute walking junkyard, which is why I want to call it the Scrapyard Survivor. And that is my Haro. And next we got my Zaku, and this guy's a little bit interesting. I don't know how well the effect is going to show up on screen, but let's see if we can get that a little bit in focus. But this guy was actually a test bed for a different idea I had, and unfortunately I can't quite get it because my airbrush like broke. Like, for whatever reason, it won't spit out paint or water or anything, just air. I've thoroughly cleaned it, everything's tightened and everything. I've gone through several forums, but I can't figure out what's wrong with my airbrush. So I had to hand paint this guy. And this is all 100% painted in nail polish. And I really like this because this is like a black that has like this nice sort of like reflective green to it. And I quite like that. And this Zaku's amazing because it has so many different accessories. Like this ammo belt's supposed to actually go with a little rifle it has, but it connects to how the hand holds the rifle, so you can actually snap it to like the sniper rifle and get like a crazy machine gun sniper rifle. I think that actually looks really nice. It's a lot darker on screen than it's actually supposed to be, but you know, I think it looks pretty good. And that's what I've built so far. But I bought some things as well. First and foremost, we have the Tilt Rotor Pack, which you can mostly presently see on the back of my Haro. But this has a couple of different things I don't have used. It's got like rocket launchers, which I haven't used. It has guns. It has chainsaws, which is kind of interesting. That was $2, worth it. This next thing, and I've got my battery logo again, so I'm worried that we're gonna have to rush this a little. We've got like the big purchase. This is the real grade Banshee Norn in the Unicorn Mode Premium Box, which means it's in the Unicorn mode as opposed to like the actual Gundam mode. For some reason that means this box is premium, and this box also costs about $50 less than the standard one. I don't know why, but like I said, I'm not a big Unicorn fan, but I had an idea, and that Zaku was the test bed for it. And like I said, I'm impatient, so I haven't found a way to like fix my airbrush. I'm probably just gonna have to buy a new one, but I've had to hand paint all my things, but I want to try and make an anti-unicorn. That's how little I like the unicorn. And here's a little preview of what I've got for my anti-unicorn. And this was a really cool paint I got. And oh, look, there we go. It's kind of got a nice hologram effect. But I'm really excited about that, and I've got a new project in mind as well. This I bought because Banshee. And unfortunately it's the Banshee Norn, so it doesn't come with the claw. Apparently you can get the claw through Premium Bandai, but that's like $50, and I want two, because if you're gonna give your Banshee a claw, you give it two. But we got the Banshee Gundam bust display base. This was available as a magazine insert with Hobby Japan, I believe. Yep, Hobby Japan right down there in the corner. And that was in, I believe, May 2013. So you can't get this anymore. And it's a premium thing, and I figured if I'm gonna have a Banshee, that's gonna be the anti-unicorn, why not have a stand for it that is also the Banshee as a close-up? Now this other thing, this was super cheap. This is the Silhouette Formula 91 Vigna Zera. I love these Silhouette Formula kits. They're rare, but they're really cool, and they're super cheap. But these are weird because like the F90 stuff and the Crossbone stuff, it's all related to F91. But unlike F91, which actually got like an anime, this didn't. And neither did like the F90s or the Crossbone stuff. And that stuff is significantly better. And again, I've got a flashing battery, so I feel like I have to hurry on. Now this one, this was really expensive, and it's a lot bigger than I thought it would, but I'm really excited to have it. I don't know how well this is gonna fit. I'm gonna have to back up a little bit. We have the Master Grade Turn X. Now I don't normally have Master Grades because I don't normally have the ability to afford Master Grades. And this is a huge Master Grade. But I love the bulbous shape of him, and like the, let's see if we can get around it, like the chest sort of shows, it's a rounded shape made by segmented triangles, which physically doesn't make a lot of sense. And I always said, you know, that would look amazing if it was chromed. Unfortunately, chroming stuff is wildly expensive. But I'm hoping I'll find a way to faux chrome something, because I want to see the reflection of that thing's angles through its bizarre, like, geometry, because that thing is just awesome. And seriously, what is wrong with my tripod? There we go. Ah, and my Zaku is actually looking a little better now. I love my Zaku Dark Star. It is so cool. Alright, anyway, that's everything I got, but, and again, we have to hurry and I apologize. I do have 2 more things, and I'm leaving these to last because they're not for me. See, my girlfriend's anniversary with me is coming up, and I wanted to get her something special. So, hun, if you're watching, and you want to keep this a surprise, maybe don't watch this. Or if you want to spoil the surprise, that's cool too, whatever. Anyway, first things first, this came with my Gundam box. We have a postcard from the actual cockpits of the Strike Freedom Gundam. Now, my girlfriend is a huge fan of the Freedom. And, you know, maybe someday I'll be able to take her to the actual Strike Freedom bust and have her sit in the cockpit and take a picture of her. But until then, I hope this will be a special thing for her. And the other thing is, my girlfriend is the hugest Castlevania fan ever. She really wants to get that Castlevania collection, but like I said, she sent me a care package earlier this week, and that kind of took away all of her money. And then I thought, you know, I gotta do something special for her for our anniversary. And I came up with the perfect present. I got her a copy of Castlevania Dracula X. And no, it's not Rondo, I know. But you know what? I think this is going to be the greatest thing I could get her. I'm pretty proud I thought of this. And, you know, it's a great game, so I hope she loves it. Anyway, I'm sorry about how many cuts we've had to make. I'm sorry about how much I've had to rush towards the end. But that has been the collection of stuff I've had for the channel over the past about a month and a half. Game-wise, not a lot of it was great, but I think we definitely have some highlights in, of course, A Twisted Tale of Spike McFang and Pokemon Snap, and oh yes, that Wii I basically got for nothing. And of course, I think other highlights would be our boy Musha, and of course, my personal hero, Oppa Oppa. And I think that will be it for this time. Again, I apologize for how sort of choppy it's been. I really do need a better battery and a better memory card. But I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, subscribe to the show to see more. And if you really want to make my day, check out the show's PayPal or Patreon. Support the show any way you can, so that, you know, I can get better games and more games, and I can do more of this stuff, because, you know, funding all this stuff with basically no money is a little tricky. And, you know, I definitely appreciate any help and support I get. Plus, you get yourself on the Discord, where we can talk about how freaking awesome Spike McFang is, how awesome my Scrapyard Survivor and Zaku are, and how awesome my freaking Banshee's gonna look when I'm done. But, anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Peace out, Internet.